Ayaka Janavana Pirivadagari Yashodanandan Bhavaja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kanja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Gauranitai Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Vishnupad Paramamsa Paribra Javacharya Sutara Satashishi Mad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jaya Vishnupad Paramamsa Paribra Javacharya Sutara Satashishi Mad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to Simul devotees. All glories to Simul devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Simul devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Lotus feet of Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Mataji Srimati Devi Dasami Dina. Chari Konakshn Jakta Jar. This morning, we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, the 4th canto, chapter 16, which is entitled Praise of King Prithu by the Professional Reciters. And this morning's text is text 5. Let's see if I can share my screen for those of you who would find it useful. I haven't done this before. There. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Esavailoka Palanam.
Yesavailoka Palanam.
Vibhartyakas Tano Tanu.
Bivarti Ekastano Danuh.
Kale Kala. Kale Kale Yatabakam.
Kale Kale Yada Baham.
Lokayor Ubayor Hitam.
Lokayor Ubayor Hitam.
Esavailoka Palanam.
Yesavailoka Palanam.
Yakas Tano Tanu.
Bivarti Ekastano Danuh.
Kale Kale Yatabakam.
Kale Kale Yada Baham.
Lokayor Ubayor Hitam.
Lokayor Ubayor Hitam.
Esavailoka Palanam.
Yesavailoka Palanam.
Yakas Tano Tanu.
Bivarti Ekastano Danuh.
Kale Kale Yatabakam.
Kale Kale Yada Baham.
Lokayor Ubayor Hitam.
Lokayor Ubayor Hitam. Yesavailoka Palanam.
Esavailoka Palanam.
Bivarti Ekastano Danuh.
Vibharti ekastano tanu.
Kale Kale Yada Baham.
Kale kale yatha bhagam.
Lokayor Ubayor Hitam.
Lokayor ubayor hitam.
Esa bhailoko palanam.
Yesavailoka Palanam.
Vibharti ekastanu tanuhu.
Bivarti Ekastano Danuh.
Kale kale yatha bhagam.
Kale Kale Yata Baham.
Lokoyor ubhayor hitam.
Lokayor Ubayor Hitam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam. Esha Vailaka Padanam.
Yesavailoka Palanam.
Tanuha.
Bivarti Ekastano Danuh.
Kale Kale Yatha Bhagam.
Kale Kale Yata Baham.
Lokayor Ubayor Hitam.
Lokayor Ubayor Hitam.
Esha Vailoko Palanam.
Yesavailoka Palanam.
Vibhurti ekastano tanuhu.
Bivarti Ekastano
Ekastanu
Danuh.
tanuhu.
Kale Kale Yatha Bhagam.
Kale
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 Yata
yatha
Baham.
bhagam.
Lokayoru Bhayor Hitam.
Lokayor
Lokoyor
Ubayor
ubhayor
Hitam.
hitam.
Esha voi loko palana.
Yesa vai lokapalanam.
Vibhakti ekastanu tanuhu.
Bibarti ekas dhanau dhanuh.
Kale kale yatha bhagam.
Kale kale yada baham.
Lokayor ubayor hitam.
Lokayor ubayor hitam.
Eshaha,
Yesa,
this king.
this king.
Why?
Why?
Certainly.
Certainly.
Lokapalanam,
Lokapalanam.
all the demigods.
Of all the demigods.
Viparti,
Bibarti
yes.
bears.
Eka,
Eka
alone.
alone.
Ano,
Tano
his body.
in his body.
Anahu,
Tanuh
bodies.
the bodies.
Kale,
Kale kale kale
in due course of time.
in due course of time.
Nika,
Yata
into
according to
Bhagam,
Bhagam
proper share.
proper share.
Lokayoho,
Lokayoha
planetary systems.
Of planetary systems.
of planetary systems.
Akayoho,
Uvayo both.
Hitam,
Hitam
welfare.
welfare.
Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki.
Jai.
Jai.
This king alone in his own body will be able, in due course of time, to maintain all living entities and keep them in a pleasant condition by manifesting himself as different demigods to perform various departmental activities. Thus, he will maintain the upper planetary system by inducing the populace to perform Vedic sacrifices. In due course of time, he will also maintain this earthly planet by discharging proper rainfall. Purport. The demigods in charge of the various departmental activities that maintain this world are but assistants to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When an incarnation of Godhead descends on this planet, demigods like the sun god, the moon god, or the king of heaven, Indra, all join him. Consequently, the incarnation of Godhead is able to act for the departmental demigods to keep their planetary systems in order. The protection of the earthly planet is dependent on proper rainfall, and as stated in Bhagavad Gita and other scriptures, sacrifices are performed to please those demigods who are in charge of rainfall. Anad bhavanti bhutani parjanad anasambhava yanad bhavati parjanyo yagya karma samudbhavaha. All living bodies subsist on food grains, which are produced from rains. Rains are produced by performance of yagya, sacrifice, and yagya is born of prescribed duties. Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, text 14. Thus, the proper execution of yagya, sacrifice, is required. As indicated herein, King Prithu alone would induce all the citizens to engage in such sacrificial activities, so there would not be scarcity or distress. In Kali Yuga, however, in the so-called secular state, the executive branch of government is in charge of so-called kings. Is in the charge of so-called kings and presidents who are all fools and rascals, ignorant of the intricacies of nature's causes, and ignorant of the principles of sacrifice. Such rascals simply make various plans which always fail, and the people subsequently suffer disturbances. To counteract this situation, the Shastras advise Harinama, Harinama, Harinama eva kevalam, kalonastya, vanastya, vanastya vigatir anyata. Thus, in order to counteract this unfortunate situation in government, the general populace is advised to chant the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Gyanatamrandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chaksho Unmanatamyana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. This morning, personally, I'm taking shelter, I have to, of a previous verse, text 3, where these professional reciters, they acknowledge that we will attempt to glorify you as we've been instructed to do so, as we've been instructed to do so. But actually, whatever we speak will always be inadequate and very insignificant. When we try to glorify the Supreme Lord, we just cannot do his glorious justice. It's impossible. He's unlimited. And his glories are really beyond our very limited perception of reality. However, because we have the great fortune of coming in contact with this knowledge through disciplic succession, and upon the instruction of our spiritual masters, we try to glorify the Lord. Then something happens, and in this, the purport of text 3, Srila Prabhupada says that if we just try to glorify the Lord, because this is the spirit of devotional service, and it's the spirit of devotional service which will please the Lord, then our attempt can be successful, because if we can just please the Lord, that is all we need to do. This is the perfection of our life at every step, at every moment. Srila Prabhupada writes in this purport to text 3, devotional service, however, is the real method, for by devotional service, one can satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead with just a few words. With just a few words, if the intention is to try one's utmost according to the instruction of the spiritual masters and presenting what we hear, then with just a few words, we may be able to please the Supreme Lord. So that is really what we try to do when we present Srimad Bhagavatam. And for myself, it has been a long time since I've done this, at least 10 years since living in the Brahmachari ashram in Wellington. 10 years on, the muddled mother brain, and the association of all of you, what can I do? I will just try to present this purport, this text, according to the purport today, text 5. Also, another hidden motive of mine is to join your Bhagavatam class here online. I think you're a most wonderful association. So if you, thank you. So Bhagavatam, because we're hearing Bhagavatam through the chain of authorized teachers, the sound is pure Shabda Brahma. It has a transcendental potency to transport us, to make us feel present within Bhagavatam. And here in this chapter, we're at a wonderful festival. We're at a festival which takes place as Maharaj Prithu has appeared and is being coronated. There is a great festival. The demigods are all the sages, of course, are present. It was by their work that Maharaj Prithu appeared from the arms of King Vena. They are present, and the demigods appear to have the Lord's darshan. King Maharaj Prithu, as you all know, he's not Vishnu Tattva, but he is a partial representation of the Lord. Avesha, Shakta Vesh Avatar, a partial incarnation of the Lord, whether the Lord's ruling potency manifests. Here in this chapter, although, and in these texts 4 and 5, today's and yesterday's texts, although Maharaj Prithu has not actually displayed his glories in the sense of he hasn't manifested his ruling potency, he hasn't ruled, he's just appeared. Then, although this is the case, but still, these professional reciters, they are glorifying the ruling potency, power, ability, ruling ability and perfection, which will manifest in Maharaj Prithu. They do this not because they have seen it, not because they can verify it for themselves with their own sense perception, as we like to do, but because they have heard this truth that Maharaj Prithu is Shaktavesha avatar of Lord Vishnu, and they have been instructed to glorify him by the sages. So upon the order of the sages, they present this wonderful glorification of the Lord, although they have not themselves seen. But they understand through sound, through hearing, and by acting on the instruction of the sages. They are empowered to give such wonderful glorification at this festival of Maharaj Prithu's appearance and coronation. Lord Brahma, previously Lord Brahma has identified, you could say in a spiritually scientific way, that Maharaj Prithu is indeed an incarnation of the Lord. He's inspected the right palm of the Lord. He finds the lines of Lord Vishnu and the soles of his feet. There, Maharaj Prithu displays also the impressions we find on the soles of the feet of Lord Vishnu. And the demigods are all presenting the most extraordinary gifts. For example, I jotted them down. Gifts so inconceivably marvelous. I had to jot them down. For example, Brahma gifts Prithu Maharaj at this festival a protective garment made of spiritual knowledge. It's quite extraordinary, inconceivable. Yamaraj gives Prithu Maharaj a scepter with which to rule the world, and a mystic or an empowered scepter with which he will rule the world. Dharma. He gives Prithu Maharaj a flower garland which will expand his fame. And it would be a wonderful study if it is possible to do, to see, study the life of more of Prithu Maharaj and see in the future how the garland of which is gifted by Lord Brahma and gifted by Dharma increases Prithu Maharaj's fame. How he wears this protective garment of spiritual knowledge gifted by Lord Brahma. We're obviously not hearing of an ordinary person. Here, if we meditate on the verse, translation, I'll bring it up again. It's a very interesting verse. This king alone in his own body will be able in due course of time to maintain all living entities and keep them in a pleasant condition by manifesting himself as different demigods to perform various departmental activities. Thus, he will maintain the upper planetary system by inducing the populace to perform Vedic sacrifices. In due course of time, he will also maintain this earthly planet by discharging proper rainfall. So it is the Supreme Lord who is central to life within this cosmos. We are not speaking about an ordinary king, incarnation of the Lord's potency, Shaktavesha avatar, who is able to maintain all living entities in this way by manifesting himself as different demigods to perform various departmental activities. This is something I've really tried to meditate upon, and so hopefully towards the end of the class you will be able to share your realizations with me, because it still remains mysterious to me, the depth of what's being conveyed here. Srila Prabhupada explains that when an incarnation of Godhead descends on this planet, demigods like him, just stop this here. Demigods like the sun god, the moon god, or the king of heaven, Indra, all join him. Consequently, the incarnation of Godhead is able to act for the departmental demigods to keep the planetary systems in order. Everything expands from the Lord. Everyone and everything is an expansion of the Supreme Lord as taught. We are briefed in the very first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, Janmadhyasya Yata, that everything is coming from him. By his potency, everything is being done. within this cosmos, we have a cosmic economy. Bhagavad Gita explains in the 4th chapter that where we have a cosmic economy based on the cooperation between men and demigods. The demigods are explained like different limbs of the body of the Supreme Lord, in the sense is that they act on his behalf, just like the arm acts to serve the body. So the demigods' function within the universe is to serve the to serve the men, to serve the purpose of the Supreme Lord. It is his purpose which is being carried out. And in fact, it is him expanded energy-wise to functioning as the demigods. So this is the sense in which I've come to understand what is being explained here in the translation, as far as I can, through Srila Prabhupada's purport. And it is the Supreme Lord who is appearing as Prithu Maharaj. So in the rule of Prithu Maharaj, we see an extraordinary manifestation of administrative power, where this cosmic economy is activated, is working in perfection. Prithu Maharaj induces his citizens, or will induce his citizens to perform yajna. And in turn, the demigods being nourished, the higher planetary systems rather being nourished, and the demigods being pleased, then they in turn will bestow resources which will nourish the earth planet and sustain those living here. So in Maharaj Prithu's rule, we will see this extraordinary and perfect manifestation of administrative power. Srila Prabhupada in the purport, he compares what we will see in Prithu Maharaj's rule with the sort of administrative administration that we have going on in today's secular government, where actually the rulers, our current rulers, have no idea, and I love how Srila Prabhupada puts this, they are ignorant of the intricacies of nature's causes and ignorant of the principles of sacrifice. So these two things. How much do we understand about how dependent we are and we're all feeling nourished? We either ate earlier this morning or still we're feeling the nourishment from our meal last night. Probably there were some grains, it wasn't a koshi. There were grains, maybe some wheat, rice, like that. We feel the nourishment from fruits, vegetables, and grains, which is particularly mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. Where do they come from? We go to the supermarket. Many of us, well, I speak for myself, we think grains, food comes from the supermarket. But actually, no, behind the supermarket, there's a whole chain, a supply chain that we can trace back to the land. Farmers are producing fruits, vegetables, and grains. So we're dependent upon them, but they are dependent upon the rain. If there was no rain, crops would not grow. Now, today, in the West, I would say, this is as far as our awareness sort of economy goes. Our knowledge does not expand to understand that there is consciousness behind the production of, there's consciousness behind the management of universal affairs, and that this rain is coming to grow the grains, food, because of the benediction, because of the management of demigods. And certainly, most people today in Kali Yuga, devotees excluded, and some, and the very pious, they don't understand that actually behind the pleasure of the demigods, there is yagya. We must pay our bill. It's like we have electricity coming through the wall. Where does that come from? Let's trace it back. It comes from the electricity, the electrical storehouse, whatever you call it. But if we don't pay our bill, it's going to be cut off. We're not going to be able to receive that energy. So there is this economy. We can understand the economy in a very limited way. But now through Bhagavatam, we're understanding the whole cosmic economy and this cooperation between men and demigods. And ultimately, the demigods are working under the supervision, under the instruction of the Supreme Lord. They are working as his servants, as the limbs of his body, carrying out his will. And now Marish Pretu, in yesterday's verse, he was glorified by these professional reciters. It's very nice because he was actually standing with great humility and gentleness. Previously you've heard that, he wasn't willing to accept this glorification. He said to them, I haven't done anything. I'm only just been coronated. I haven't got to work yet. Please glorify me. But actually, as we said, these professional reciters were instructed, nevertheless, to continue their glorification. And the first thing that they say is that he will engage everyone in the pursuit of religious principles and give those principles all protection. He'll be a great chastiser to the irreligious and atheistic. So, Marish Pretu, engaging the populace in religious activities and simultaneously protecting religious principles by administration. So this is what Chachya means, to protect. So when we live in a society which is unprotected, when our rulers, Prabhupada writes, are our rulers today, they remain neutral, and they don't take a strong stance against sinful irreligious activities. They remain neutral. They want to stay in power. They need the vote. They want the votes of the people. Keep everybody happy. They let everybody do whatever they want and allow people to engage in all sorts of irreligious activities. And this is actually not executing the real duty of a ruler. A ruler's function is to give protection and to protect people from lust, anger, greed, envy, illusion, and madness, which afflicts us when we engage unrestrictedly and engage in sinful activity. But just like a good parent, they put very strong boundaries in place too, and the children feel protected. A child always knows when they've crossed the boundary, they're chastised. Like Pretu Maharaj, he will be a chastiser to the irreligious and atheistic. So he draws the line and he holds the line by chastising those who act irreligiously. And the citizens will feel safe and protected because it's not possible to advance in the real purpose of human life without a peaceful mind. When we are afflicted by lust, anger, greed, envy, and illusion due to sinful activity, we can't think straight. And this is what we have in society today on Sankirtan when we go out. We need to really pray to the Lord to help us to cut through, to penetrate the coverings of the living, of the conditioned souls, so that we may be able to help ignite or evoke again their dormant Krishna consciousness. Their minds are so disturbed, the first thing you hear is, I haven't got time. Constantly fighting against time. Everybody's made themselves an enemy of time. I haven't got enough time. Time's running out. Rush, rush, rush. Actually, the mind is just disturbed by lust. Got to get this, got to get that. Anger, they're angry about something, can't think straight. You know what it's like when you're angry. You can't think before you make a decision. We always have to step back from what is agitating us, calm down. And then when we can think straight, when the anger has subsided, then maybe we can make a decision. We know how under the influence of anger, we're not peaceful. Under the influence of lust, hankering, or madness, intoxication, madness, delusion, envy also really agitates us. When we're under the influence of those things, then we do not have a peaceful mind to be able to perform our sadhana, to meditate on the glories of the Lord, to try to connect with Him in our personal japa. So Maharaj Pritu's administration protected the citizens from this harassment, this mental harassment, by not enabling citizens to perform sinful activity. He was a Dharma king. And then we're hearing in text 5 how he how he induced the populace to perform Vedic sacrifices so that this cosmic economy would be functioning well. They would have everything that they needed materially for a peaceful life and have to struggle for existence. It was all provided. Their lives were sustained by Dharma. And meanwhile, there was a suitable state to perform their spiritual activities to further the mission of their human form of life. So today, as Srila Prabhupada has pointed out, our society is not ruled by a Dharma king. So it is actually up to us to take shelter of the parampara, hearing from them, to practice Dharma in our lives. Yesterday, Prabhu mentioned, he spoke about the 4 pillars of Dharma: truthfulness, mercy, non-violence, and austerity. We need to practice these principles, and we'll find that if we can maintain these principles in our life, our minds can be peaceful. We need to be the Dharma king or queen of our own heart, of our own sort of perceptual kingdom. And so that we will be able to execute Krishna consciousness. And the yajna, the sacrifice we perform in this age, it is prescribed. Harinama, Harinama, Harinama eva kevalam. Hello, Nasjeva, 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 Katiranyata. We must perform this yajna, the sacrifice of chanting the holy name, and extend that to others, to increase. The Sankirtan movement is an ever increasing. The first verse of Shishashtakam explains, Nandam Buddhi Vardhanam Prati Pradam Pranamrita Svaranam Savatma Snapanam Param Jayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. So this Sankirtan Yajna, the chanting, the glorification of the Lord, the chanting of his holy names, thus purifies ourselves. We have an opportunity to please the Lord, and that will expand when we share that with others. The more we give Krishna to others, the more we get Krishna for ourselves, because he's unlimited. And back to this point, we simply want to please him. So because I'd really like to hear all of your realizations on this verse and on this subject matter, I'd like to finish here and open it up to you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you. Please speak.
Again, wonderful explanation of the text 5, which includes right from 3, 4, and 5. You nicely explained how this whole system is maintained by the Supreme Lord, by the management through his all in the material sense executives. So in the upper section and the middle section, what is earthly, they're all same, how it is maintained. Lord is the supreme, as in our company, in one of the company, the CEO is already there. He is running the company, but he has appointed the executives to run the show. Similarly, in this spiritual world, God has provided all the assistance through his demigods, so that the worldly affairs are maintained through his instruction. So everybody is performing their own job, like we do in our companies. So when everybody performs to their extent, then everything goes well. But the things, today's context, the things fail because there is an imbalance in performance of everybody's action. which the difference is in the God system, everything is properly maintained. Everybody knows his activities. But in the material platform, since we are not performing equally as we are supposed to be, things gets imbalanced. And that's what Bhagavad Gita 262 and 63 says. Because of that, six inabilities or six defects in us, everything is got unbalanced. And because of the unbalance, we are suffering. So what Prabhupada is advising, that this can be mitigated only through the Harinam Sankirtan. So he says, Harinnamai, Harinnamai, Harinnamai Kevalam, Kalo Nasti, Eva Nasti, Eva Nasti, Gati Rannata. By doing this, everything can be done. And that's what Srila Prabhupada is explaining through this text. So Prithvi Maharaj is an incarnation of the Lord. He has made the system so nicely. So everything was manifested beautifully. And all the citizens and demigods, they're all happy because it's an interrelation. If the performance by the floor people is best maintained, naturally company will grow. Similarly, if the people in general are happy, they will naturally follow what the Lord says. So similarly is the balance system. So if we follow the balance system, everything will fall in right context. And that is what the text is telling us. Perform your duties, everything will be all right. Just depend on God. So in this text, we also learn that not only telling the people, but first of all, you perform, you show the people the importance, and then people will follow accordingly. Not to tell the people only without practicing it. And that is text 4 is telling about. And that's all from me. Hare Krishna.
Wow. Hare Krishna Prabhu, that was amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Would anybody else like to say something?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Mataji.
And welcome in our Bhagavatam forum. Because we did not know and we did not listen before you. So it's your maybe first class, isn't it? Yeah, very nice class. And you glorify to Krishna so nicely. And you have told that this is really unlimited beyond our perception. But we are having really great fortune that we are coming in parampara and we are getting the knowledge from our spiritual masters, from Srila Prabhupada, that we are having great fortune that we are discussing and we are in this forum. And this is, and without Lord and without Lord mercy, we cannot do. And devotional service is the main. And you nicely described about how demigods work under control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And yes, also Prabhu told that if we stay in balance, if we do our duty, everything will happen nicely. And Prithu Maharaj is really great, and he is the incarnation of Lord, and he is the Saktavis Avatar, and he's empowered by that ruling the kingdom. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. Amazing. How kind of you as well. Thank you. Okay. Is there anybody else who would like to expand on the topic? We have another 5 minutes, and if there's nobody else who would like to say anything, then we could finish our class now. Okay, I thank you all very much for your association and for being here this morning. Srimad Bhagavatam ki
Jai.
Vanchakalpat ki jai. Vanchakalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Har Grace Dina Dayal Mataji ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
We would like to see you open. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you. Hare Bol.
Haribol.
Have a wonderful Krishna conscious day today, everybody. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.